Kai was only 10 years old when he found her. The forest behind his village was dark and quiet, with tall trees that blocked the sunlight. He had wandered farther than usual, chasing a strange glow he had seen flickering between the trunks. When he reached a small clearing, he froze. There, lying on the ground, was a small alien girl. She looked no older than he was, her body weak and trembling. Her skin was pale but shimmered faintly, like cracked glass under the sunlight. Her eyes were a deep violet, glowing softly in the shadowed forest. Her breathing was shallow, and her tiny hands shook as she tried to move. Kai didn't know what she was. His heart pounded, but fear didn't stop him. He could see that she was hurt, that she needed help. Hey, it's okay, he said softly, approaching her slowly. She flinched, huddling into herself. Kai noticed a faint scar across her arm and a small burn mark on her leg. Something had happened to her. Something dangerous. "Don't be afraid," Kai whispered. "I won't hurt you." The alien girl's violet eyes blinked, uncertain, yet something in his voice calmed her. She tried to speak, but no words came out, only a soft whimper. That was enough for Kai. He realized she couldn't walk on her own. He took off his jacket, wrapped it gently around her, and lifted her in his arms. Her body was lighter than he expected, fragile like a bird. As he walked back toward the village, the rain began to fall. The droplets soaked his clothes and made the path muddy, but he didn't care. He held her close, whispering words of comfort. "It's okay, I'll get you out of here. You'll be safe." Some villagers saw him and shouted, warning him to leave the strange creature alone. "Don't touch her, Kai. She's dangerous," they yelled, but Kai ignored them. He couldn't leave her there. Something inside him, something strong and stubborn, demanded he protect her. He reached the edge of the forest, gasping for breath. The girl's eyes followed him, trusting him despite her pain. He laid her down on a soft patch of grass and tried to make her comfortable. He tore a strip from his shirt and gently wrapped it around her wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "I'll take care of you," he said firmly. "I promise." She finally whispered a name, her voice weak but clear. Kai's heart skipped a beat. He knelt beside her. "Leora, huh? That's a pretty name," he smiled, even though his hands were shaking. "I'll remember it. I'll never forget you." Night fell, and the rain turned into a gentle drizzle. Kai sat beside her all night, keeping her warm with his jacket and telling her stories of the village, about his friends, the animals, and the little adventures he had in the forest. Her eyes grew heavy, and for the first time since he found her, she smiled faintly. Somehow, Kai knew she trusted him, and in that moment, he realized something important. It didn't matter where she came from, what planet she belonged to, or how different she looked. She was a life in danger, and he had a choice. He could walk away, like everyone else, or he could stay and protect her. And Kai had never been the type to walk away from someone in need. By dawn, the villagers finally accepted that Kai had saved her. They helped him bring her inside the small hut near the edge of the village. Kai stayed by her side, watching as she slowly drank water and tried to eat a little food. She was weak, but alive. Kai never spoke of fear that night. All he felt was determination, and something he didn't understand fully, yet, even though she was an alien, and even though he didn't know if she would survive, he felt a bond with her. He had saved her life, and somehow he knew that act of kindness had changed something deep inside both of them. As he finally rested his head on the table, exhausted, he whispered softly, "Don't worry, Leora, I'll never let anything happen to you. You're safe now." And for the first time, the alien girl closed her glowing violet eyes without fear, trusting the human boy who had chosen to protect her when the universe seemed too cruel to do so. After that night in the forest, Kai never forgot Leora. He thought about her every day, even as life pulled him in different directions. School, chores, and the small struggles of village life kept him busy, but in quiet moments when he lay under the stars or walked alone along the river, his mind always returned to the violet-eyed girl he had rescued. But the universe is vast, and sometimes even the strongest bonds are stretched by distance. Leora disappeared from his life as mysteriously as she had appeared. Her ship was repaired, or perhaps her people had found her. No one from the village ever saw her again, and Kai had no way of knowing if she had survived the forest's dangers or the mysterious forces that brought her there. Yet, for Leora, the memory of that human boy never faded. She remembered the warmth in his hands, the kindness in his eyes, and the courage that had saved her when everything else had failed. In the alien world she returned to, she was fragile and weak at first. Her people were cautious and skeptical, their advanced civilization unfamiliar and often harsh. But Leora had a spark inside her of strength. Kai had seen in her eyes the night she whispered her name for the first time. Years passed, and that spark became a blaze. She trained relentlessly, learning to command her people, to navigate the political intrigues of her homeworld, and to master the powers her species possessed. Every scar on her body became a mark of survival, every hardship a lesson in leadership. The fragile girl who had once trembled in the forest became a queen, wise, strong, and fearless, and still. She never forgot Kai. She often looked at the stars and wondered about the boy who had chosen to save her when no one else would. She wondered if he had grown up brave and kind, or if life had hardened him like it had done to many humans. She carried the memory of him like a secret treasure, a reminder that even in a vast and sometimes cruel universe, a single act of compassion could change everything. For Kai, life moved slowly and quietly. He grew taller, stronger, and more confident, but he never stopped wondering about the strange girl he had rescued. He often retraced the path through the forest, hoping to catch a glimpse of her or even her ship. He imagined her thriving somewhere out in the stars, feeling both pride and sadness that he could not see her again. The years did not weaken their connection. In some strange way, the memory of saving her had shaped Kai into the man he was becoming, someone who valued courage, kindness, and loyalty above all else. Every time he helped someone, comforted a friend, or protected something small and fragile, he thought of Leora and the promise he had whispered that night in the forest, "I'll never let anything happen to you." Meanwhile, Leora rose through the ranks of her people. She was clever in politics, fearless in combat, and compassionate toward those who suffered. Her story spread across her planet, the girl who had survived the impossible and became a queen. And yet, no accolade or achievement could fill the space left by one human boy in her memory. It was a strange twist of fate. Two lives, worlds apart, shaped by a single moment of trust and courage. One remembered the other, and one had never forgotten. Leora's advisors often warned her about human affairs. "He is not of our world," they said. "You cannot risk your reign for someone who may not even be strong enough to survive here." But she would not listen. No amount of politics, no threat from her council, no fear of losing power could erase the bond she felt. She had been saved by Kai once. and if the universe allowed it, she would return to repay that debt not out of obligation, but because her heart had chosen him long before she understood why. Years went by. Seasons changed. Stars rotated in silent orbits. But the promise of that forest night, the warmth of a human hand in hers, the courage that had kept her alive, remained unbroken in Leora's heart. And then, without warning, she made her decision. She would find him. She would return to the human boy who had saved her life, when she was nothing but a fragile child in a dark forest. Somewhere, far below the glittering stars, Kai's world remained quiet, unaware that the girl he saved would one day come back not as a child needing protection, but as a queen, powerful and radiant, ready to reclaim the human who had shown her the meaning of courage and kindness. It was a quiet evening when the sky broke open. Kai was working on the roof of his small workshop, repairing a few broken tiles, when a strange hum filled the air. He looked up and froze. A massive ship descended slowly, its metal surface gleaming under the sunset. It hovered silently, unlike anything he had ever seen in his life. A hatch opened with a soft hiss, and for a moment Kai couldn't breathe. Standing there, bathed in the golden lights, was her, Liora. She looked nothing like the fragile child he had carried through the forest so many years ago. She was tall, regal, and powerful. Her violet eyes burned with recognition as she scanned the workshop, and then they landed on him. "Kai," she said, her voice smooth and commanding, yet strangely gentle. Kai dropped the tile he had been holding, stepping back in shock. "Leo." His voice trembled. "It's really you." She nodded, her long hair catching the fading sunlight like strands of starlight. "Yes, it's me," she said. "I've come for you." Kai's mind raced. "For me? Why?" Her gaze softened, and for a moment she looked like the frightened girl he had carried through the forest. "You saved my life when I had nothing," she said. "Now, it's my turn to return the favor." Kai swallowed hard, unsure if he was dreaming. He remembered her trembling, her small voice whispering his name in the rain. He remembered the promise he had made, the one he had never spoken aloud to anyone. "I never thought I'd see you again," he admitted, his chest tightening with emotion. "I never forgot you," she replied, stepping closer. "Not for a single day." Her presence was overwhelming. She radiated power, confidence, and something more, something deeply familiar that made Kai's heart race. He could see the scars she had carried, now transformed into marks of strength and beauty. The little girl who had clung to him for safety had grown into a queen capable of commanding planets. "You're a queen?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," she said, a small, proud smile curving her lips. "I am the ruler of my people now, but none of it matters if you are not by my side." Kai's chest tightened even more. He had spent years wondering if she had survived, wondering if the memory of their bond had been erased by time. And here she was, live, powerful, and seeking him out. The boy who had once saved a helpless alien child now faced a woman who could command entire worlds. "I don't know what to say," he admitted, stepping closer. I'm just a human." "I'm not." "Ready for you, don't need to be," she interrupted gently, placing her hand on his shoulder. Her touch was warm, grounding him. "You were brave once. You saved me when no one else would. That courage, it has never left you." Kai felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. I just did what anyone should have done. Leora shook her head. No, Kai. Not everyone would have done what you did. You chose to protect me, even when it was dangerous. That choice, it changed my life. For a long moment, they just stared at each other, two souls separated by years and worlds, now reunited. Kai could feel the weight of their shared history, the memories of fear, trust, and quiet courage that had bound them together. Finally, Leora extended her hand. Come with me, she said. I want to show you the stars, Kai. I want you to see the universe as I do. And I want you by my side. Kai hesitated for only a moment. The logical part of him screamed that this was impossible, that he was unprepared, that leaving his world would be dangerous. But another part, the part that had held her in the forest, that had promised her safety, knew exactly what to do. He reached for her hand, and as their fingers touched, a warmth spread through him, one he had never felt before. Okay, he whispered. I'll go with you. Leora's smile grew, radiant and full of hope. Then we begin again, she said, and for the first time in years. Kai felt the weight of loneliness lift from his shoulders. The stars above shimmered brighter, as if they themselves had waited for this moment. The moment when a human boy and an alien queen would reunite, their bond stronger than time, distance, or even the universe itself. Kai looked at her once more, seeing both the child she had been and the queen she had become. And in that moment, he knew something profound. Their lives were forever intertwined and together. Nothing would ever be impossible. Kai had stepped onto Leora's ship, and the stars stretched endlessly around them. The hum of the engines, the gentle sway of the vessel, and the strange alien lights all made him feel like he had entered a new world. But he quickly realized that not everyone was happy about his presence. The Council of Planets, the rulers who advised Leora, were gathered in a grand chamber filled with towering crystal walls that reflected the alien sunlight. Their faces were cold, their eyes sharp and calculating. Kai felt a shiver run down his spine. These were not humans, they were beings who had survived centuries of political battles and interstellar wars, and they did not trust him. This human should not be here, one of the council members said, his voice like ice. He is weak, untrained, and dangerous. Queen Leora, do you understand what risk you take in keeping him by your side? Leora stood tall, her crown glowing faintly in the chamber's light. She did not flinch. I understand perfectly, she said, her voice steady. He is not a risk. He is the one who saved my life when I was a child. And because of that, he has my trust. That trust is stronger than your fear, or your rules, or your doubts. Another council member leaned forward, his expression hard. A child saved you once, yes, but he is only human. Humans are fragile. He cannot survive the trials of leadership, nor the dangers that come with ruling a planet. Allowing him to remain here sets a dangerous example for others. Kai swallowed, his heart pounding. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but every instinct told him to stay quiet. He was a human, not a queen, and these beings clearly did not see him as an equal. Leora stepped closer, placing her hand lightly on Kai's arm. Her eyes softened when they met his, giving him courage. He has already survived trials you could never imagine, she said quietly, so only the council could hear part of it. He risked his life to save me, knowing nothing in return. Courage like that is rare, even among your kind. The council murmured among themselves. Some shook their heads, unwilling to accept her words. Others exchanged looks of curiosity. Leora's voice rose, firm and commanding. If you doubt him, then we will test him. But know this, I will not remove him from my side. If you wish to challenge my decision, you must challenge me. The chamber fell silent. The council members were shocked no queen had ever spoken so boldly to them. One of them, older and taller than the rest, finally said, "Then we accept your challenge, your majesty. If the human is to remain, he must survive the trials of valor. If he fails, he will leave, and you will have no choice." Kai felt his stomach twist. Trials of valor were not simple tests. They were designed to push rulers and warriors to their limits, tests of courage, intellect, strength, and heart. Many humans would fail without question, crushed by their difficulty. He looked at Leora, fear and doubt flashing in his eyes. She met his gaze steadily. "You saved me once, Kai. Now it's my turn to trust you. The trials are dangerous, yes, but I believe in you. More than anyone else in this universe could." Kai's chest tightened. He remembered the night in the forest, the rain, the fear in Leora's eyes, and the way he had held her as a child. That memory surged in him like a fire. I'll try," he whispered. "I'll do whatever it takes." Leora smiled faintly, her violet eyes glowing with pride. "That is all I ask. You don't need to be perfect, Kai. You only need to be yourself." The council nodded, formally ending the meeting, though their expressions remained skeptical. The path ahead would be grueling. Kai would face trials that could test him beyond anything he had imagined. But now he understood something important. He was not just fighting for himself. He was fighting for Leora, for the bond they had shared since that rainy night in the forest, for the trust they had built across worlds and years. As they left the chamber, Kai glanced at the stars outside the ship's window. They shimmered with endless possibilities, but he no longer felt small beneath them. Beside him, Leora's hand brushed his purse, a simple gesture of reassurance that made his courage grow. For the first time, Kai realized that being human did not mean being weak. Courage, kindness, and loyalties, these were qualities that no alien council could measure. And if he could prove them in the trials, perhaps he could show not just Leora's people, but the universe what humanity was truly capable of. The trials would begin soon. But Kai no longer felt fear. He had faced darkness once before, in a forest, holding a fragile alien girl in his arms. Now he faced the universe itself, standing beside the queen who had returned to him. And together, perhaps nothing could stop them. The first trial began at dawn. Kai stood in a wide arena, surrounded by the towering walls of Leora's palace. The air shimmered with strange energy, and he felt his heart pounding in his chest. His muscles tensed as he looked at the challenges ahead. He could see fire pits, shifting walls, and puzzles carved into glowing stone trials that would test strength, courage, and wit. He felt a hand on his shoulder. Leora's presence was steadying. "Remember," she said softly, her violet eyes locked on his, "you've already faced danger once. You saved me when no one else would. Let that guide you." Kai nodded, swallowing the fear rising in his throat. He had carried her through the forest as a boy. He had faced the darkness then, and now he would face it again. But this time, the stakes were higher. This was not just about survival. This was about trust, loyalty, and proving that humanity, his humanity, was capable of more than anyone could imagine. The first challenge was the trial of courage. Kai had to cross a narrow bridge suspended over a pit filled with fire and spikes, while the floor shook violently beneath him. He stepped carefully, feeling the heat rise from below. His legs shook, and the wind threatened to throw him off balance. But he remembered the small, trembling child in the forest, the child he had vowed to protect. He gritted his teeth and moved forward, focusing not on the fear, but on the promise he had made so many years ago. He reached the other side, his heart racing, and felt a surge of pride. The council's eyes were upon him, some skeptical, some curious, but Leora's gaze shone like a beacon. He had passed the first test, not because he was perfect, but because he refused to give up. Next came the trial of wit. Kai faced complex puzzles that required logic, intuition, and careful observation. Ancient symbols glowed on the walls, moving in patterns that seemed impossible to decipher. He felt his head ache as he worked through them, frustration gnawing at him. But every time he felt doubt creeping in, he remembered Leora, her violet eyes trusting him, her life once in his hands. He focused, connecting the symbols, aligning them in patterns that revealed the hidden doors. One by one, the puzzles fell, and doors opened, revealing the next challenge. The council murmured in astonishment. Many had expected him to fail instantly. Yet here he was, a human boy turned man, solving trials meant for rulers and warriors. The final test was the trial of heart, and it was the hardest. Kai was faced with illusions of Leora, in danger fires, monsters, traps. Each illusion demanded he choose between saving himself or saving her. Fear gripped him as images of failure flashed before his eyes, but his choice was instant. He rushed forward, putting himself in harm's way again and again, refusing to let even a shadow of danger touch her. The illusions tested more than courage, they tested loyalty, empathy, and selflessness. Kai pushed past exhaustion, past fear, past doubt. He remembered the night he carried Leora through the forest, rain soaking them both. He remembered the whisper of her tiny voice saying his name. And he realized that the trial was not about strength or intelligence, it was about the heart. When he emerged from the illusions, bruised and trembling, the council fell silent. They had seen something few humans were capable of: unwavering loyalty, courage in the face of danger, and a heart that could protect and inspire. Kai had not just survived the trials. He had proven that humanity, even in its simplest form, could shine brighter than the most powerful alien beings. Leora ran to him, tears glistening in her eyes. "You've done it," she whispered, holding his face in her hands. "You've shown them what I always knew. You are extraordinary, Kai, not because of strength or skill, but because of your heart." Kai looked at her, exhausted but alive, and smiled. "I only did what I had to," he said. "I couldn't let anything happen to you. You saved me once. Now I guess it's my turn." The council watched in awe as Leora placed her hand on Kai's shoulder. "He has earned his place by my side," she declared, her voice ringing with authority. "If you cannot see the courage, loyalty, and heart in this human, then you are blind." Some members nodded reluctantly. Others remained silent, but all knew what they had witnessed. Kai had passed the trials, not through alien powers or luck, but through humanity, the one thing no council could measure. But that could change everything. As the sun rose higher over the palace, casting golden light across the arena, Kai and Leora stood together. They were not just human and alien, boy and queen. They were a team, bonded by trust, courage, and a shared history that no time or distance could break. And for the first time, Kai realized the truth. Being human was not a weakness. It was a strength, one that could protect, inspire, and even claim the heart of a queen. The council chamber was colder than Kai expected. Towering crystal walls reflected the harsh light, and the alien rulers seated themselves like statues, their expressions unreadable. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. The human boy who had passed the trials of valor was brought before them, and now his fate would be decided. Kai stood beside Leora, his chest tight, but his heart steady. He had survived the trials, proven his courage, loyalty, and heart. But the council's gaze was sharp, judging him, questioning whether a human could truly stand beside a queen. He felt the weight of their centuries of power pressing down on him, their skepticism like ice against his skin. "You have passed the trials," the eldest council member began, his voice low and commanding. "But that does not make him worthy to remain at your side, Queen Leora. He is human. He is fragile. He is insufficient." Leora's violet eyes blazed. Her presence filled the chamber with light and authority. "Insufficient?" she repeated, her voice steady but sharp. "You dare call him insufficient? You dare question my judgment?" The council stirred, murmuring in surprise. No queen had ever spoken to them like this before. Kai felt a tremor of fear, but he refused to step back. Leora turned to him, her hand brushing his shoulder gently. "Stay calm, Kai," she whispered. "This is not about you. It is about showing them what they refuse to see." Leora stepped forward, her crown glowing faintly, her voice rising with power and emotion. "You see him as a liability," she said, her eyes scanning the chamber. "I see the human who saved my life when I was a child, the one who risked himself for me without question, without hesitation, the one whose courage and heart shaped the queen I have become." The council member's face darkened. "You cannot let emotion blind your judgment, Your Majesty. A ruler must think logically. A human cannot survive the challenges of leadership, nor the dangers of our world." Leora's gaze softened, then hardened with quiet fury. "Logic without heart is useless," she said. "You think him weak because you cannot understand his strength. You think him fragile because you cannot understand loyalty, courage, or sacrifice. Yet he has faced danger, solved impossible trials, and stood beside me without faltering. If this is not strength, what is?" Kai swallowed, feeling warmth and pride flood him. He remembered the forest, the rain, the fear in Leora's eyes. He remembered the trials, the illusions, the fire and the puzzles. He remembered surviving because of courage, because of the heart that refused to give up. And now, he realized that moment, the boy who had carried a fragile alien girl was the same man standing beside the queen. Leora raised her hand, silencing the murmurs of the council. "If you seek to remove him from my side, know this, you will have to take me too." Her voice echoed across the crystal chamber, full of authority, fearlessness, and love. The council fell silent. Some members' faces softened in awe. Others remained stubborn, but no one could deny the power of her words. She did not simply command them. She challenged them with truth. Kai stepped forward, his hand brushing Leora's. "I do not fear your judgment," he said quietly but firmly. "I only fear failing her, or myself. But I will stand by her side, always. She saved me once. Now it's my turn to stand by her." Leora's eyes glimmered, tears threatening to fall. She placed her hand over his, their fingers intertwining. "Together we are stronger than you can imagine," she said. "He is not just a human. He is a warrior of the heart, a protector, a reminder that courage comes in many forms." The council members exchanged glances, their ancient wisdom clashing with what they had just witnessed. Slowly, one by one, they nodded, recognizing the truth they had ignored for too long. Kai had passed every test, not just the trials, but the measure of what it meant to protect, to love, and to inspire. Finally, the eldest council member sighed and said, "So be it, Your Majesty. The human may remain at your side." Leora's smile was radiant, her violet eyes softening as she looked at Kai. "You have proven what I have always known," she whispered. "You are mine, not by obligation, but because our hearts are bound by something no council, no rules, and no universe can break." Kai felt tears prick his eyes. For the first time in his life, he truly felt seen, not for his species, not for his strength, but for the courage and heart that had guided him all along. The chamber seemed to shift. The air itself felt lighter, the stars outside the crystal walls shining brighter, as if witnessing the bond between a human and a queen that had overcome fear, doubt, and centuries of prejudice. Kai squeezed Leora's hand gently. "I'll follow you anywhere," he whispered. "No matter what." Leora smiled, her hand tightening around his. "Then we begin a new chapter," she said. "Together." And in that moment, the universe seemed to pause, acknowledging something extraordinary. A human heart had stood beside a queen, and together they were unstoppable.